Good day, Chino Valley educators. This is another in a short series of screencasts to show you how to post assignments for your students in your very new Google Classroom. I've landed on my stream, and as a teacher I'm going to go to classwork, and I'm going to this time create an assignment. Assignment is a very flexible, adaptable area in which you can post any kind of assignment. And so today we're going to ask students to type something, creating a Word doc and submitting it by a certain day and time for a score. Okay, we've entered a title, and students will have a California region brochure they're going to be working on. This first assignment is just a draft of information, and I'm going to want them to turn in a Google Doc that includes all the information that they are going to later put into their brochure. Sounds like this is going to need some instruction, and because this is the very first time my students will be turning in an assignment like this in my Google Classroom, I'm going to be more explicit. First, I want to be explicit about what's expected of them, what kind of information I'm looking for. I could probably be even more explicit than what I see here by telling them how much I expect to see. And then down here, I need to let them know exactly how to do it. There is also a partner video being made for students so they'll know how to turn in assignments. This is just one of many ways they can turn things in a regular old assignment. Right here I told you it's a really flexible assignment type, but I have mentioned to them that to prepare and turn in their assignment they need to click on a button that says add or create. That will be on their right in their view assignment screen, and exactly what to do when the menu opens. I do not have anything I want to add, but if I do need to add other resources, perhaps I have a sample assignment from another student and I can click on File and pull that from my hard drive. Perhaps this is something that I've seen online on another web page and I can give them a link to that web page. Perhaps I've got something in my Google Drive that was created last year by a student. Or maybe I've made directions myself and created a YouTube video. So lots of possibilities to add more resources for this specific assignment. And at this time, again, to the right in the column where I determine all the details, I'm going to assign this just to my class, no other classes. All of my students will work on this assignment. This will be ungraded because this is a draft in preparation for a larger assignment. It has a due date and a due time because I have more things that are going to be attached to this assignment. I know what time I need to have things ready so that when I have my office hours, I'm prepared to speak with my students. We'll talk about topics later. Rubrics are something we'll talk about in another assignment as well. It wouldn't be appropriate to really have a rubric right here, but it might be for that final project. And then originality reports. Each teacher, 3 times a year, may choose to check off originality reports, and this is very much like Turnitin.com, which you may have heard of, which actually looks for plagiarism issues in student projects. Up here, if I am ready to assign, I will assign it. One more reminder, you always have the opportunity to save a draft if you're not quite ready. And you have the opportunity to schedule this. Perhaps I'm doing multiple steps. This is part 1. Maybe there's a part 2, 3, and 4, and I want to go ahead and prepare them all this morning, but schedule them out. And to do that, if I tap on schedule, it looks just like the due date options. So it's very straightforward. You get the calendar, and you get the opportunity to put in a time. I'm going to go ahead and assign this right now, though. I'm ready for my kids to begin working on this. For those who are kind of chomping at the bit, they can begin now. And I thank you for joining me on this half of my short video. The next half will be for different kinds of assignments that I can post besides just assigning a Google Doc. We're back for the second half of this video. This time my assignment is going to be for students to turn in or do a Flipgrid video. And so first let's give this a good title. It's going to be an advertisement for a California region. Most of my directions are actually inside the Flipgrid space. So really what I need is just to include the link to where they need to go, and it'll be hyperlinked for them. So there it is. I've taken this off my Flipgrid account after I made my topic, and add that link so that my students will be able to tap on this and respond. Then I'm going to make sure, yes, just my class, all my students, definitely going to be part of their assignment, due date, of course. All these things come up and they're all just right there for you, so it's kind of hard to forget to do something. And care on that one. So that's it. I haven't given them any instructions, so how about we do that, and then it'll be ready to go, and I'll show you exactly how it's going to look when kids turn it in later. In this case, their assignments are all going to show up inside my Flipgrid account. So this is an assignment where nothing will actually show up in the grading area of Google Classroom. I'll go ahead and assign this. And one more assignment type, in addition to turning in a doc or having an assignment turned into Flipgrid, might be one in which your students need to include a different kind of document, or rather a link that is outside the Google sphere, basically. Perhaps your kids make a website and they need to respond with a link to the website that they created, or they need to turn in a link to an infographic that they create in something called PictoChart. You'll want to be really explicit about the instructions here, about what's expected from them, but you should know what it looks like when a student goes to turn in work. So please watch the video about students turning in work, because students can turn in anything from their Google suite of apps, including Google Docs, Google Sheets, Google Slides, and they can also turn in links from things inside on top of, or pardon me, I misspoke, anything from their hard drive. They may include work that they've done with just a URL, and it's important that you see what the student's experience is in addition. I'm going to do one more kind of assignment, and I'm sorry, this is a longer video. This one is Dear Future Me. And in this particular assignment, I'm going to ask the students to respond with a letter to themselves 5 years in the future. So, Dear Future Me, this is what it was like while I lived. Now, what are you doing in the year 2025? For this particular assignment, I have prepared a blank sheet of paper for my students to work off of. I want my students to enter their response on a page that looks like this, because perhaps I want to put it up at open house, or my students might have a hard time with certain things I appreciate about formatting a page. So I'm going to give my students instructions to begin typing after the word dear, so that they don't get all caught up in the bold and large type here, and the line separates those things out. I'm also going to give my students instructions about what's expected in this particular document. So let me go back to our classroom. I've provided them instructions about writing a letter to themselves, etc. I'm now going to add this as a resource. I'm going to pull it from my Google Drive. And Google Drive normally will show me right here what's most recent, and here it is. I just made that Dear Future Me template. When I tap on it, I can now see that the add button is blue. And I'm going to give this to my students, but I need to do something that's essential to making sure I get one document from each student, and that is right here over on the right. I don't want them to just view that document that I created. I want them to actually edit it. So I can choose Students Edit File, but if I do that, all my students can edit that one same file. That is not what we want. I can make a copy for each student. Now that is exactly what I want. And so when I select Make a Copy for each student who opens this document, Dear Future Me 4, will have their own copy waiting for them on the right side of their assignment page. It will have their name attached to it already, so they cannot forget to include their name, as they so often do in our physical classroom, and it will make it nearly impossible for them to lose this document. So I am finished. I've got a title, I've got description, I've added a resource that is not just a resource for them to reference, but is in fact their actual document they'll be working off of. It's for my class, it's for all students. It is going to be graded, and of course, you know, due dates, etc., etc. This is a complete assignment. And again, if you wish to see what it looks like for a student, please consider watching the videos that are being made available to you and your students about turning items in. I'm going to go ahead and assign this, not schedule it, not save it as a draft. I'm good to go. Thanks for watching. I'm sorry this one went a little long, but I hope we gave you some ideas about how flexible some of these assignments can be. Have a great day.